You guys can keep talking. We've got a couple minutes coming on here live, but I want to make sure that you can hear me on the microphone. I have another one hooked up to me for Tom, so make sure there's no interference going on. So I'm going to talk for a minute. If anybody's there, if you could type out that you're hearing me okay. We still have a couple minutes before we start, but we need a strap today. So studio clean straps are hanging on the ends of the shelves. So at home, have a belt or a strap, but we are a little bit early, so let me see. Somebody type and tell me if you can hear me, if you don't mind. Just because I did remember my microphone today, which I forgot yesterday. Totally forgot it. So I am just not a video kind of person, I don't think. Okay. Celeste, you can hear me just fine. Thank you very much. All right. So again, if you're at home and you're just tuning in, we will need a strap today. If you need to grab a belt or whatever else that you have close to that, do it. And take your time. Just get your stuff gathered like we are here. And if you need a blanket to sit on, grab a blanket. And just start to sit comfortably. So if you all in the studio here want to sit with your legs long, by all means do. And take your time. Just enjoy starting to lengthen up through the top of your head. Let your eyes close gently. And with your eyes gently closed here now, just let your focus come down. So you imagine you're looking down towards the ground, but your eyes are closed. Feel the eyes release there. And then imagine you're coming back to look forward and see if you can look over towards your right with your eyes. Not your head, just your eyes. Still let them stay closed. See if you can be real gentle, not to squeeze the eyes, right? And then come back to look forward and see if you can just let your eyes look over towards the left. And then bring your focus back front and see if you can look up just a little bit towards the ceiling. And then finish up looking down again. Let yourself bring your focus down. And then just let yourself release to wherever feels good for you. You know, once you start messing around with your eyes like that, you don't really realize what you do when you just close your eyes, do you? See if you can just be easy. If you need to open your eyes briefly and close them, do. And then just be with your breath here now, watching your breath in and out. See if you can feel the breath coming into the belly, into the ribs, all the way up into your chest. And then let's start to move in circles with our torso. Let your exhales bring you forward, moving off to one side. Inhale as you come back, and exhale as you come forward on the other side. Keeping going in the same direction with your circles. Starting to move with your breath. Be mindful. It doesn't matter whether you open your eyes here now or you keep them closed. Let yourself enjoy. Almost like you're waking up with your breath. And then we're going to reverse direction. So wherever you feel good to stop, let yourself stop, and we'll come off into the other direction in those circles. Good. And the next time that you come forward a little bit, let yourself stay there. And then send your right hand out onto the floor, left hand right above your knee, and just lean away as you push your left knee away from you a little bit. Lean over towards your right a little. And see if you can just feel a little more right up here in your side waist, a little more opening for that left hip. And then we'll come back to center, and we're still forward a little bit, and we're going to shift over in the other direction, using our right hand to encourage the right knee away from us, coming to the side just a little bit there. And then we'll come on back into center again, and we're going to rise on up. Fingertips lightly touching the floor here. Now we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse. Inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. Bring your fingertips behind you. Let yourself walk back a little bit so that you can really feel the chest coming forward as you draw your shoulders back. Fingertips on the floor, tips of the thumbs on the floor, opening up as much as you want as far as where your head goes, whether you bring your gaze up higher or you look more forward. And then we'll come up. Now remember which leg you have in front here, because we're going to lean back just a little bit and do a little boat pose with our knees bent. See if you can kind of draw your thighs in towards your ribs as you lengthen up through your spine here now. Flex through your feet. And then let your feet point, but keep letting the touching the outside edges of your big toe mounds together. And then flex again through the feet. Your heels can be a little apart. And then point again through your feet. If you want to let go here, do. Flex the feet just a little bit again. And then when we come back to cross-legged, we're going to bring the other leg in front, letting ourselves come to the other side. And we're going to start again into those circles. So letting yourself now move again with those circles of the torso. Exhales bringing you forward. Inhales bringing you back. And just take your time. Let it feel good. And very easily moving with your breath here now. And we are going to stop again and go the other direction. So you stop where you choose and then reverse directions in those circles. Good. And the next time that you end up forward again, let yourself stay a little bit forward here. And then if you want to go farther, go. Let yourself put your hands down if you want. Walk farther forward with your hands, depending on your hips and your back. You know that. If you'd rather stretch your legs out to come into this seated forward bend, by all means do that. Just find what works for you. See if you can let your head release. Release your neck, your jaw, your face. One more breath there. And then walk up enough here. Now, we're going to stay still a little forward, but we're going to turn our hands the other way and come to our fingertips so that you may just have your middle fingers, your pointer fingers, maybe go into your pinkies and your ring fingers, and maybe even your thumbs down on the floor. That depends on you, right? Don't force it. Just come into opening up through the wrist a little bit here and only let the hands go where you feel okay to be, right? One more breath. And then we'll release and bring our hands on out beside us. Let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Finding that seated mountain here now. A couple of breaths, lengthening upward through the top of your head. And then we'll bring our arms on down beside us, shake out a little bit. We're going to come around to our hands and knees. So grab a blanket if you need for underneath your knees. Take your time. Get yourself fingers spread wide here. Let your knees get under your hips. Get comfortable for your own wrists. So if you need to come onto fists, do. Curl your toes under for a second. Shift your hips back a little bit. Feel that openness for the bottoms of your feet here now. And then come on back forward. Let's come to the tops of the toes. Press down and roll up into your cat pose here as you exhale. And then on the inhale, send your tailbone back and up, moving back through into your cow. So moving now with your own breath, at your own speed. Whether it's really slowly and you like to just kind of savor that very slow movement through the spine. Or maybe it feels better for you to move a little quicker and feel that suppleness that way. So find where you can be there. And then finish off the one you're on so that you can then make your way back to a more neutral spine. And then look down between your hands. And we're going to turn our head to look to the right. Let your right arm come up about parallel to the floor. Look at your hand there. Now it's right out beside your shoulder. And then look, if you can, rise the hand up higher and maybe look at it as it comes up. Now don't do that if it's too much. And then we're going to thread the needle. We're going to send that right arm on down behind your left wrist. Come on down to the right side of your head, your shoulder. This all depends on you, and you know that. You be where you can be. This left hand can stay in front of your face, or you can stretch the left arm overhead like you're doing down dog, if that feels good for your shoulder. So just let the shoulders release here. One more breath. And then bring the left hand in front of your face. Press your way on up and come back to all fours. We're going to do the other side. Left arm comes straight out from your shoulder, right to the side. And then look at your hand, and you can decide, do you want that hand to go up higher? Do you want to let yourself look on upward and come a little higher with the hand? And then we'll thread the needle. Again, bringing that hand behind the wrist. You can either turn that left palm up or down. You can keep your right hand in front of your face, or you can stretch that arm overhead if it feels good in your shoulders. And just breathe. You're kind of on the left side of your head if possible. Let yourself breathe into between your shoulder blades. And then we'll bring that right hand back by our face, and we're going to press our way on up. From here, let's bring our left foot forward. Keep your right knee down. You might want to grab your blocks for your hands. And then we're just going to shift our hips on forward, pressing into the top of the toes back there. So letting yourself come into releasing all the way here through the groin into the front of that right hip. And then just shift your hips back. Come into a little bit straighter left leg. Come a little forward over your leg there just to open up the hamstring a little more. And then we'll shift back forward again, and we're going to curl the toes of the right foot under and lift the back knee up. And come on into a lunge here, pressing the feet gently away from each other, engaging your belly. Good. One more breath. Really enjoy feeling the inner right thigh rising up towards the ceiling if you can. We're going to lower the right knee back down now. And now you decide, do you want to go a little more? Do you want to bring your left hand or both hands up to your thigh? You don't have to. You can shift back a little bit too. If it's too much here into the front of the hip, don't go so far. You can rise your hands to the heart, or you can rise your arms up overhead if you want to go farther, or you can keep your hands down or hands at the heart, right? Or on the blocks. One more breath. And then we'll bring our hands back down. We're going to shift back with that left knee. Step our right foot forward. Keep the left knee down on the mat. And shift your hips a little forward. Keep your hands down for now. Press into the top of the toes. Open up through the front of the left hip there. Good. And we're going to shift back with the hips. Come into a straighter right leg. Just open up the hamstring a little bit here. So waking up through the back of that right leg as you bring your torso out over the leg. Good. We're going to shift back forward. Let yourself shift again. We're going to curl the toes under, lift the back knee up, and come into that full lunge with the knee off the floor. Draw the shoulders down. Feel the feet pressing gently away from each other. Feel that inner thigh reaching up towards the ceiling. So the heel gets right behind your foot here now. Now to lower the knee down, remember you can always put a blanket, I forgot to say that, but you can. And then you can lift up or not. You can keep your hands down. You can bring either just your right hand up, your left hand. If you need to shift back a little bit, do. You can stay forward, bring hands to the heart if you'd like. Keep your hands down if you need. Arms can go overhead if you like. Be where you can be here. And then we'll lower our hands on back down. Let's lift that back knee up because we're going to step forward and come on into standing forward bend. Now, you might want your blocks underneath your hands. Let your left foot come a little more to the midline of your body and cross your right ankle in front of your left so both feet are on the floor. Toes are facing forward. You can bend your knees, right? And use your blocks if you need. So rather than going all the way over your legs, which is pretty intense in that back leg, you can use support. So it's really the back leg, the outside of the back left leg there that's getting a lot. But just stay and breathe. Give the body time to adjust. Let yourself release through the backs of the legs. Feel that outside of your left leg releasing gently all the way up into your outer hip. One more breath. And then we're going to switch legs. So we'll uncross. Right foot comes a little more to the midline. Left ankle comes in front. Toes are still facing forward. You still have most of your weight on your back right foot, right? But you're trying to get your left foot all the way on the floor. And then again, if you need to bend your knees a little bit, do. If you feel like you want to bring your hands up higher, do it. Opening up into the outside of the leg, into the outer hip. Feel the weight of your head. One more nice full breath. Feel your ribs expand as you inhale. Let the top of the head release closer towards the ground if you can as you exhale. And then we're going to uncross our legs. Get our feet right underneath us, hips distance apart and parallel. We'll bend our knees, press into our feet, and rise up to standing. Inhaling the arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bringing our hands down together in front of our hearts. So coming into your mountain pose here now, take your time. Really allow yourself to release here, shoulders down away from your ears. Feel open across your chest. Feel as balanced as you can. If that means you need to shift around a little bit to find a sense of evenness between the right and the left sides, between the front and the back of your body. And then we'll unfold our arms on down beside us. We're going to inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend the knees as you come on forward into your standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find a long, flat back. And we're going to step the right foot back and come into lunge here. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So take your time. Walk if you need to. Get into that dog by bending your knees if that helps. See if you can just really enjoy reaching back through your sit bones equally. Feel equal through the sides of your body. Bring your awareness to your hands for a second. Make sure, feel your thumbs pressing down, your pinkies, your pointer fingers, your ring fingers, your middle fingers, all equal. And then on the next inhale, we'll come on out to plank, nice and strong. Engage the belly. And we're going to lower down. You can put your knees down or not as you come on down to the floor, elbows right by the ribs. And we'll come on up into a little cobra, letting the hands be lightly on the floor. In fact, float the hands a little bit off the floor. Really use your back to lift you up. And then go ahead and bring the hands on back down. If you want to go up higher, you can press into your hands, rise up higher in your cobra. Elbows hugging in. You can also stay on your forearms in a sphinx if you'd rather. We're going to shift back to the pose of a child from here. So reaching back, you don't have to go all the way. Just go enough to feel a good release here in your low back and your hips. And then inhale your way on back to all fours. Curl your toes under. We'll come on back into down dog. And we'll bring the right foot forward to find lunge. And we'll come on back into standing forward bend. Feet, hips distance apart, parallel. If you feel good to hold your elbows, you can. If you feel better to use support under your hands, do. So if you need to put your hands on your blocks, do. Nice full breaths. Easy. Weight of your head. Let go through your jaw, your face. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips, bend our knees, and rise on up. We'll inhale the arms up overhead. On the exhale, let's come into a little chair pose. Sit back. Bring your hands back to your heart. Spread your fingers. Look at your hands for a second. Let your thumbs come in towards your chest, towards your breastbone. And then bring your gaze forward a little bit, maybe 6 to 8 feet in front of you. And let's twist to our right. Now, you don't have to go lower. You can, if you want, put your left elbow onto your right knee or not. Doesn't matter. You can go either way. We're going to go both ways. And then come back to center, and we'll go the other way. So again, you can put your elbow down to your knee, opposite elbow, opposite knee there or not. And then come on back into center. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to fold forward. And let your inhale help you find a long, flat back. We'll step the left foot back, coming into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Good. On the inhale, let's come on out to plank. Take your time here. Stay in your plank. See if you can lift one foot up off the floor a little bit. And then bring that foot down and see if you can lift the other one. Staying really solid here in your plank, in your pelvis. And then we'll bring both feet back down, and we're going to lower down. Again, knees first if you need. Elbows by the ribs as you come on down. And we'll come into that Cobra again. You can go higher, you can stay lower. Elbows hugging in. And we're going to shift back again towards pose of a child. So let yourself reach back. Keep your arms overhead if you can. See if you can feel your elbows hugging towards each other. And on the next inhale, come back to all fours. Curl your toes under. Let's come on back to down dog. And we'll bring the left foot forward to come into lunge, however you need to get it there. And then we'll come all the way back into standing forward bend. So as you make your way here, really move how you need. If your head needs to nod or shake a little bit, if you need to sway your upper body a little bit to find a little deeper release, do. Put your hands wherever you want. Up on your back, behind your head, behind your legs, or onto your elbows. And be with those full, complete deep breaths, following them all the way in and all the way out. And as we bend our knees here and press into our feet, we're going to rise on up and inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead, letting our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's reverse the arms. Inhale the hands right up through the midline. On the exhale, fold forward from the hips. Let your inhale lengthen out your spine. And we're going to step right foot back to lunge, moving with the breath. Inhale. Exhale into your down dog. Let your inhale bring you to plank. Let your exhale lower you down. And inhaling into your Cobra. Exhaling back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale right foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising up, arms all the way up. And on the exhale, we're going to come forward. Let your inhale lengthen out your spine. Exhale left foot back to lunge. Inhale. Exhale down dog. Let your inhale bring you to plank. And your exhale lower you down. And inhale into that Cobra. Exhale back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale left foot forward. Lunge. And inhale. Exhale standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising up, arms flowing all the way to the top. And on the exhale, we're going to fold forward again. Inhale into that long spine. We're going to come into down dog. Place your hands. Walk or jump your feet back, whatever feels good. Walk a little bit. Be aware of your hands. So you're pressing so far back out of your hands, you almost feel like you could
lift up the heels of your hands, right? So you don't want pressure right straight down into the hands. Much better for the shoulders. Good. One more breath. And then from here, we're going to bring our left foot forward. And you may want to have your blocks handy just in case. We're going to come up for warrior one. So bringing our shoulders on around, really solidly planting that right back foot. So just make sure it's at an angle where you're comfortable to be. You can feel your arch lifting up, really both arches, but that back one's harder to think about really. And then bring your arms on out beside you. Turn your palms forward for a second. Let yourself feel open, both across your chest and your upper back. And then from here, let's inhale the arms up. Let the fingertips lightly touch up overhead. And then as you exhale, lower your arms on back down again. So just be aware, as you let your inhales rise the arms out and up, and your exhales lower them down. Be aware of what happens here. You know, as you rise the arms up, the belly naturally responds. It lifts. And take your time. The next time you end up with the arms up overhead, let them stay. Bend your elbows, clasp your hands, send your pointer finger out, right? And then hug your elbows in towards each other a little bit. Feel your shoulders. Try not to lift them up. Let your shoulders melt down. Let your elbows rise up a little bit. And now you can decide. You can stay right here and be perfectly happy. You can straighten your arms out, keeping the arms in close to the ears if you choose. Or you don't have to. Your arms can be forward. You can still let yourself find a lot going on for your shoulders there. So adding, if you want, that little bit of a lift, bringing that lift right to the base of the shoulder blades. And then bring your gaze to look back forward. Release your arms along, down and out beside you. And then bring your hands behind you. Clasp them here. And we're going to bow over our front leg. Now, how far you go is up to you. You might just want to come forward and let your head hang. Or you might want to bow all the way over your inner thigh. Keep your belly working a little bit. Your arms may be able to come off your back, or they may have nothing to do with that. Your shoulders may not let you do that. So be where you can. And then we'll release the hands down. We're going to find lunge from here. So you can use blocks or not, releasing that right heel directly behind you. And then we'll add a twist. Whether you bring your left hand up to your left hip and bring the hand flat onto your sacrum or stretch the arm up. Or some of you may, if you reposition a little bit to a wider stance, want to bring your right elbow to your left knee and bring your hands into prayer hands. So you decide which twist feels good for you. Take your time. Let yourself lengthen out through the top of your head. And then we'll come on back down with our hand to lunge. And we're going to step back into downward facing dog pose from here. Walk to the tops of the feet a couple of times, the tops of your toes. In fact, come back to dog. And we're going to come out to plank, but we're going to walk to the top of our left foot, press down into the toenails as we come out to a plank so that knee is bent almost to the floor, and then come back to dog again. Roll back up. And then roll through your right foot, come to the top of the foot, come forward, and then come back up. See if you can do that one more time on each leg. So coming with the left knee down, and then back up, and then coming with the right knee down, pushing into the top of the toes, and then come back up. And now you're on your own. You can come out to plank. You can move through for a back bend or not. You don't have to go through chaturanga, remember. You don't have to do the back bend either. You can go several times or just once. Doesn't matter. You can rest in child's pose anytime. Good. So finish off. Let's meet back in down dog. And then from here, we're going to bring the right foot forward and come on into warrior one on the other side. So, you know, if you need to widen your stance, you want to get that back foot really grounded, right? Bring your shoulders around. Bring your arms out. Turn your palms forward. Let yourself even bring your hands a little bit forward of your hips so you feel like you're just really open here, really accepting in your warrior one pose.
And then as you inhale, floating the arms up, letting the fingertips touch. And as you exhale, lowering them back down beside you. Now, you can look with your gaze if you want. I forgot to say that on the other side. If you like to look up, when the hands come up, you can. Remember, releasing the shoulders down. So we'll rise the arms on up again on the inhale. On the exhale, we'll lower them down. And this next time, rising the arms up. Bend your elbows, interlace your fingers, send your pointer finger out. Now you're doing the same one you did the other side. Undo your hands, put your other thumb on top, and send your pointer fingers out. Feels very funny. And then elbows hug in, rise the elbows up, and you can decide. Keep your elbows bent, it's fine. Straightening the arms out if you choose. Finding that lift through the front of the body. One more breath. And then bring your gaze on back forward, lower your arms on down, and bring your hands behind you, clasp them. We're going to fold forward. Again, you don't have to go far. You might kind of lean forward and then drop your head. You might fold over that inner thigh. Arms may decide they can come off the back, or they may decide they want nothing to do with that. And then we'll bring our hands on down. We're going to find lunge, remember? So releasing that left heel directly behind you and adding your twist of choice. So right hand can come on up to the low back. You can reach the arm up overhead. You're more than welcome to do twisted prayer. Bringing your left elbow across to your right knee. Good. One more breath. And then we'll come on back. And we're going to make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Walk to the tops of the feet a couple of times here. And then let's all come on out to plank together. Nice and strong. See if you can stay nice and strong here in your plank. And then lower your knees down, even if you don't usually. And let's come on down, elbows right by the ribs. And then come to the tops of the feet and press up into an up dog if you can, where the knees come off the floor. And you're on the tops of the toes. And then we'll release back down to the floor. And we'll make our way back into down dog, however you choose to get there. Full or half push up, back to hands and knees, and then back up. Good. And we're going to bring our left foot forward from here and come into warrior two. So again, have your blocks handy in case you need them. Line up your heels. Get really easy in that back foot, remember. I don't know about you guys, but my mask keeps falling down off my nose. I don't know what's going on here, but okay. Take your time. Feel your hands together in front of your chest for a second. Feel very centered between your feet. And then we'll rise our hands up through the midline. Open the arms like wings. Let your palms stay facing up. Turn to look at your left palm here. Let your elbows soften. Feel really easy in your shoulders. Good. One more breath here. And then turn your palms down and reach out through the fingertips, but don't add any tension to the tops of your shoulders. Let it feel really good, reaching out through the fingertips, feet pressing gently away from each other on the mat. Nice. And then we'll turn the left palm up. We're going to inhale, reach up towards the sky. Slide your right hand down a little further if you can. Maybe you can reach a little farther back. And on the next exhale, we'll come into the side angle. So hand or forearm onto your thigh. And if you want to swing that right arm up into line, do. Once you do that, bend your right elbow, put your hand behind your head for a second, and just enjoy right there. Just feel the back of the head coming in to your hand. It's like you're just giving a little support here. And then stretch your arm back along again. Turn the pinky down towards the ground. Enjoy. And we're going to come on back into warrior two from here, pressing the feet away from each other. And now, let your hands come down, but turn your feet parallel. We're going to come into five-pointed star. Get your feet fairly parallel if you can. Bring your arms straight out from your shoulders and then a little higher than your shoulders. So there you are in five-pointed star. Now,
Think about your pelvis. Make sure you're not tucking your tailbone forward. So see if you can imagine your tailbone reaching down. If your feet were close together, it would be reaching down, maybe even a little behind your heels. And just enjoy your body here in space. One more breath. And then we'll bring the hands on down. We're going to bend the knees as we come forward. Now, see if you can in this wide-legged forward bend. Adjust to where you can put your elbows above your knees. And touch the tips of your fingers and your tips of your thumbs together. So you made this little space in your hands there. You're in the squat. You're reaching back through your tailbone. And then let your right shoulder just reach across like it's reaching towards your left foot. And then come back to center and think about the left shoulder coming across like you're reaching over towards, obviously you're not getting anywhere close, but towards the right. And then come back into center. And then bring your hands on down. Whether you want to use the blocks or the floor, bring your hands on down there. And then take your time. You know, bend a knee at a time if you need to. Kind of wiggle around a little bit if it helps you adjust a little easier into the pose. Move however feels good. So that you can come to that place where you can stay to be with your breath, right? And if that means using blocks, maybe under your head, maybe under your arms or your hands, just adjusting to where you think, oh, I could stay here forever. Find that place where it's so easy to be, where you can release so easily in your upper body. And then just watch those breaths all the way in and out. Good. Feeling the ribs expand on your inhales. And then we're going to slowly walk our hands back out and forward. And we're going to walk back over to our left foot to come back into lunge. And we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. So up to you whether you want to do any vinyasas or kriyas. You can come out to plank. You can move through bending your elbows or not to a back bend, whether it's a up dog or maybe you want to do a sphinx. Come down onto the floor. Or put your knees down and rest in child's pose if you want. Paying attention to what your body feels like doing, you know, not pushing through. Good. And let's meet back in down dog. Take your time. And we'll bring our right foot forward, and we're coming up for warrior 2 on the other side. So lining up those heels. And take your time to get yourself really aligned with that back foot where you're comfortable, in your knee, in your hip. Bend the knees a little bit. Let your hands come to your heart. So now you're feeling very balanced between the right and the left side. And then we'll inhale the hands up through the midline. Now when we open them, we're going to leave the palms facing up and turn to look at your right palm here with the elbows soft. So let yourself just enjoy. Feeling very open here across the front of the chest. And then as you slowly turn your palms down and you start to reach out, keep that softness in the tops of your shoulders. Really imagine that your arms are growing out of your back as you look out over the top of your right hand here. And then we'll turn the right palm up. Left hand comes down to your leg. Slide the left hand down a little bit. Give yourself support as you come into that reverse warrior. One more breath. And on the exhale, bringing that right forearm on down to above the knee. Turn your right palm up. Spread your hand wide. Add this top arm if you can. Don't push it if your shoulder's telling you no. Keep your hand down if you need to. And then you can decide about adding the hand behind the head too. If that feels iffy for your shoulder, don't do it. Just feel the head gently coming into your hand. Let yourself enjoy. One more breath. And then stretch into that long arm again if you can, reaching out through the fingertips, turning the pinky down a little bit, press into that right forearm, lengthening through the right underside of the body. And we're going to come on up. We're going to turn our feet parallel. And again, you might need to adjust for 5-pointed star. So hands up a little higher than your shoulders. Reach out through the fingertips. Lengthen up through the top of the head and just really reaching out and, again, finding that sense. It's like you're covering as wide of a space as you can here. And then we'll bring our hands on down. We're going to come forward, bend the knees as you come. And once your hands get to a block of the floor, let's shift over to the right with our hands or our block. So either walking over to the right foot or not. Bringing your right hand up to your right hip. Maybe even rolling your shoulder up. And then we'll come on back down with the hand. We're going to walk back through center. And again, now to the left. Again, doesn't matter how far you go. Once you get as far as you want, left hand to the left hip. And if you want to roll your shoulder up a little bit, do. And then bringing the hand on back down. Coming on back into center. Walk your hands way out in front of you now, like you're doing a down dog. See if you can let yourself bend your knees a little bit. Hug your elbows towards each other. Let your chest melt a little bit. Your heart melt down a little bit and back behind you a little bit. Really releasing there between the shoulder blades. And then walk your hands back. You may decide to hold your ankles. You may decide to put your hands between your feet. Or you may want to turn the fingertips and walk backwards. You know, turn them backwards behind you and walk your hands back between your feet. Again, finding a place where you can release even deeper. So all you want to be aware of really is not having any kind of stress in the body, but being able to watch your breaths all the way in and out. So completely bringing your focus to that ease of your breath. And then we're going to walk ourselves, hands on back out and forward again. And we'll walk back to that right foot, come back to lunge, and back into downward facing dog pose. And final vinyasas or kriyas if you want to do them, right? So if you like doing those planks and going into an up dog, maybe you prefer just to stay in dog, maybe you prefer to put your knees down. Just take your time. Let your body kind of take over here to do what it needs. And then we'll meet back in downward facing dog pose. And let's bend our knees really deeply. Think about your belly coming towards your thighs. Hug your elbows towards each other. Glance up there between your hands and think, how do I want to get there? Do you want to jump or walk? So come on forward, however you choose. Bringing your feet hips distance apart and parallel. If you can, bring your hands up to your low back. Interlace your fingers. If that's too much, don't do it. And then we'll bend our knees. We're going to press into our feet, and we're going to rise on up to standing, and we'll inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right there to meet in front of our chest. Really letting yourself bow your head forward a little bit. Feel that release in your neck. Find the hands coming right where it feels best for your shoulders. You know, where that thumb comes is different for everybody. And then just bring your gaze on forward. Let yourself find your mountain pose. Start to feel the breath, helping the body just balance itself out. And we'll let our arms unfold on down beside us. Good. Shake everything out a little bit. Boy, it is humid today. So let's bring our mats to the wall. And we're going to need our straps. So those of you at home, you don't necessarily have to have a wall. You can have a kitchen counter, whatever works. We are going to get a hold of these straps. So take your time. Let's do left hand towards the wall or towards whatever you're using for support at home. And we're going to step our right foot, ball of the foot, into the strap. And use your hand. Oh my gosh, is it thundering again? use your hand to give you support while you get situated, and step into that foot into the strap, and then just rise the foot on up like you're stepping up a step. Let the strap help you. Look at it. Make sure you have the strap right across the base of your big toe mound and little toe mound. And you can straighten your leg out. You don't need to, but if you can, straighten it out. But try not to throw your shoulders back. That's pretty tempting, right? Keep the shoulders over the hips. You can balance if you want, rising that arm on up overhead or not. And then bring your left hand back, bend the right knee again, and let's open the knee out to the side. So there you are. Now, if you want to go higher, you can let yourself come up with straightening that leg, letting the foot come up higher. And some of you may want to reach for your foot. I know that. You can let your left arm come up and balance there if you choose. Rotating that right heel forward. And then go ahead and bring the leg back to the front. But right away, bend the knee, bring the strap over your shoulder, and let the foot come behind you. So you're pressing the top of the foot into the strap. Knees are side by side. Now you can balance here. It feels pretty good, actually. If you want to let that left hand come off the wall, or not like me and fall over, but try. And if you want, you can bring the strap over your head with the knee coming back a little bit. And then you can try to balance there if you want, holding both hands to the ends of the strap. And if you like to come forward a little bit, you can, pressing gently into the strap with the top of the foot. You don't have to overdo, you know that. Try not to lock your supporting knee. And then we're going to come on up. Take your time there. Work through that left ankle and foot a little bit before you turn around. And then we'll do the other side. So, coming on around, stepping left foot, ball of the foot into the strap. It's easier to do it just right there on the floor so you get it even. Excuse me. And then standing on your right foot and stepping up like you're stepping up a step. And you can straighten the leg out. Now, if you want to go higher, you slide your hand down the strap more and bring the foot up, leg up higher. And balance if you choose. You don't have to. You can still hold on. And then bend the knee. Open the knee out to the side. And again, maybe you can come into that straight leg, pressing into the strap. If you want to go, higher up with the leg, send the hand down the strap more. Let yourself be there. Rotate that left heel forward, finding where you can be. And then we'll bring the leg back to the front and bend the knee. Bring your strap over your shoulder. The strap will be on the top of your foot or your ankle. If you have to adjust it, do. And you can balance right there with the strap on the shoulder. If you feel like you want to bring the strap over your head, you can bring the strap over your head. Press the foot into the strap. Let yourself come a little forward with the torso, a little back with your knee. Good. And then release and come on down. And take care of that foot you were standing on. Let yourself take care of it. We're done with the straps. Put them on off. And we're going to come down with our feet back towards the wall behind us. So take your time. Let yourself come on down to the mat into a little child's pose for a couple of breaths with your toes touching the wall behind you. If you don't have a wall at home, you can just do this on your mat. So just release. You don't have to have a wall, but it's only if you enjoy having the wall there at your feet. And just breathe. Let yourself enjoy releasing the low back. Good. And now from here, come on forward onto your forearms. Now we're going to come long with our bodies, and we're going to think about trying to curl our toes under where our feet, when we're outstretched long, our balls of our feet are on the wall, so that when we get our elbows under our shoulders and we lift up into a forearm plank, you got to get yourself arranged. Your heels are at the wall, right? Press into the wall. You're in a plank, So if you can for a second, stay in the plank. Press down into your forearms. Press into the heels on the wall. Zip up your belly. Let yourself enjoy that. Good. And then we'll come on down. And now, let yourself shift back with your forearms. And if you're comfortable to come up into your dolphin with your heels up the wall, do. If you're like, no, I'm not doing that, don't do it. Stay in the plank. Remember, dolphin pose, your head is off the floor. Those of you in here who are already walking up the wall, go right ahead. You can have a leg up. You can walk up both feet. Remember, you're not trying to create tension in your shoulders. It's as you press into your forearms and hug your elbows towards each other, that hollowing in your armpits. And you feel really the sense of release between the shoulder blades on your back. Nice. So come down to rest whenever you want to. You don't have to stay up there and you know it. Good. Nice. One more breath there. If you want to go up one more time, let it be now, okay? If you're done and you're staying done, you rest however you choose. And we're going to come on through into a little pigeon pose here. Let's all do left knee towards the left front corner of the mat. So sending the left knee out a little bit. The left heel comes in towards the right hip pointer bone there. You can grab a blanket and have a blanket underneath this bent leg side. So if that helps you to be more even, it also feels better in your hips. Remember, if this pose is too much for you, don't do it. The knee angles towards that outside corner of the mat, right? The same way that your knee is the knee that's coming forward. And then take your time. Let yourself, if you can, press up a little higher, like you're a pigeon about to take off, right? Hug your thighs in a little bit towards each other. Good. And then as you come forward, be really mindful. Grab a block or blocks if you need. So you can always put a block underneath your forearms so you're not going so low. You can go down, put your head on a block, or you can lay down all the way. You know that. Putting your head on your hands or whatever feels good. Stretch your arms overhead if you want, or keep your arms there down and soft and relaxed. And just breathe. And be aware of feeling the tops of your right toes gently pressing into the floor for a breath or two. Not harsh, but it just engages you a little more. Good. One more breath here. And now let's come back up. Now we're going to use our hands again, and we're going to come up again, trying to get up again, just to find a little more openness through the front of that right hip. And we are going to switch legs. So however you choose to do that, whether you go up to dog, some people like to do a down dog between sides, or coming into just a child's pose for a second. But again, it is the right knee aiming towards the right front corner of your mat. Your left hip pointer bone coming towards that right heel, so that you're really mindful about how your hips feel here. And you can use a blanket right underneath the bent knee side, under the hip there, to give you a little more support, a little more levelness, lifting up if you can. And then as you come forward again, take your time. Grab a block if you need. So a block can be under your forearms, under your head. You can make a little pillow with your hands if you want. And rest your head on your hands or not, right? Just really up to you. Be mindful. Nice breaths into the low back. So feel your low back rising and expanding as you inhale. It's almost like you're breathing into your pelvis. pressing the top of the left toes gently down into the mat. And then we're going to rise up again. Remember, use your hands to give you support. Let yourself come all the way, if you can, up. Think about your chest coming forward a little bit, opening here into this back bend. Feeling that opening across the front of your left hip. Good. And from here, we're going to shift over to our right hip and stretch both our legs out long for a little wide angle. Right? So get a blanket. If you know sitting up on a blanket in this pose makes it so much better for you, right? And I like my heels on my mat, so if I need to, I'll sit off my mat. So if my legs need to be closer together, I'll have my heels on my mat. But you can have your heels on the floor if it doesn't bother your heels. Another thing is putting a blanket under your heels. It feels good. So take your time, knees and toes face up. You're sitting in your wide angle here. And then think of coming forward with a nice long back just for a little bit, right? And that might mean just an inch or two for you. Think you're not curling your tailbone forward. It's like you're actually tilting your pelvis forward. Your sit bones are kind of reaching back behind you a little bit. And you've got a nice long back. Whether you come an inch or, maybe you feel really good to come between your legs because that's how your hips are built, right? So just enjoy. Be where you can there. Good. So one more breath. We're going to come on up. We're going to bring our right hand to our right leg. Slide the right hand down towards your shin, your ankle, or your foot. And then bring your left hand up to your left hip and roll your left shoulder up, coming into side stretch here. And that might be enough. You may not want it to go anywhere else with that left hand. You can bring it up behind your head if you want, like we did when we were in side angle, if that feels good. Or some of you may want to stretch that arm long in your side stretch. So that's up to you. And now when you get ready to rise up, think about your belly helping you come on back up to the top. Left hand goes to the left leg. You're going to right away just slide it on down. Right hand on up to your right hip. Roll your right shoulder up. Totally optional to add the right hand behind your head there. If you like pushing gently into your hand with the back of your head, it might feel good. And then adding that long arm if you choose to. So breathe where you can be. One more breath. And then use your belly to help you come on back up again. Let's bring our hands behind us. And then just let the hands walk back. Almost like so far back. Well, if you can go flat onto your hands, do. Right? If you need to stay up on fingertips and tips of the thumbs, do. But let your chest drop forward. Almost like you're going to lift your hips up off the floor. But the chest just opens nice and wide. And if it hurts your shoulders, don't do it. Opening through the front body. And then we're going to release to come on back forward. And we're going to bring our legs on around so you can use your hands as you turn on back now, long ways on your mat. And make sure there's nothing behind you and that you're not too close to the wall to come down to the mat. But let's bring ourselves into a little boat pose. So at the beginning of class, we came up with our legs and we flexed our feet and put the outside edges of our big toe mounds together, separated our heels. See if here you can just release your hands easily. If not, hold back again, right? So especially if you feel like you're starting to do this, collapse in your chest. Keep your chest coming forward. If you feel like you can straighten your legs out, do. And some of you might want to hold your legs and give yourself a little bit of help there in your boat pose, letting yourself come up a little bit there. Good. And then bend the knees again. Hold on behind your thighs. Give yourself help. Now, this is totally optional. If you have back issues, don't do this coming down like this. But if you can let yourself release here, lower and you're curved now, but you're using your belly. And then when you're ready, you can just release all the way down to the mat. Bring your right knee into your chest. Flex through both your feet. Take your time there. Let yourself just release now in the back. In fact, instead of pushing your leg into your hands, let yourself just pull that knee in and let the low back kind of collapse to the floor for a second, just to find relief. Good. And then switch legs. So bringing that left knee in, extending the right leg long. Let yourself release the back down into the floor for a breath or two. And then bring both knees into the chest. Let the knees come side to side. Actually, let your knees make circles. So keep them fairly close together. Let them circle in one direction. And then stop and go the other direction, like you're outlining your sacrum there on the ground. It should feel good, releasing. Find what works for you, really. And then finish off. Let's bring our feet down to the floor. And just get your feet set for a little bridge pose. Don't lift up yet. You might want to have a block handy if you like your supported bridge. Just don't use it yet. But get your feet a little wider than you do in mountain pose, and they're still parallel. And we'll see if we can bring our hands up towards the ceiling now. So reach up like you're reaching up towards the ceiling. Flex your hands so you're looking at the backs of your hands. They're straight up from your shoulders. And then bend your elbows and put your hands above your shoulders on the ground for a second. Hug your elbows in a little bit towards your head. Now, if this hurts your shoulder, don't do it right here. Don't do it, right? You can press into your hands and imagine, I wouldn't advise lifting up into a full upward-facing bow pose right now, but you can if you want. Or you can just imagine if you were going to press into your hands, maybe rise up a little bit with your chest, come to the back of your head, up a little higher on the back of your head. And then go ahead and release down. Let yourself take your arms on down alongside your body now. Turn your palms down towards the floor. Press into the backs of the arms. Roll your shoulders under now. More. Press into the feet as you lift on up into your bridge pose. So, be mindful. If you're not quite in the right place with your feet, then come down, and maybe your feet need to be a little farther or a little closer to your buttocks before you lift up. And that can make a really big difference in how bridge pose feels. Finding that openness in the front of the body, that length, and feeling the back of your head gently coming into the floor. And you come down anytime you want. So you can move up and down. You can grab a block or two and support yourself. Stay on the block and totally relax down into the block. So in bridge pose, you really don't want to feel any kind of discomfort in your back. You will feel your thighs engaging. Your quads are definitely working. Take your time and ease through however feels good. And of course, if anybody wants to do a full back bend, a full upward facing bow pose, you're more than welcome to. And now take your time. When you get ready to come down, be mindful. So if you're coming down off a block, be easy as you make your way down. Once you get down, do a little pelvic tilt. Let your tailbone curl up a little bit. When you inhale, let it reach down. Just easily. You can kind of do 2 or 3 of those, almost like you're rocking your pelvis a little bit, finding release for your low back. And then bring your feet back to the floor. We're going to cross our legs, right thigh over left. So thigh over thigh, right over left. And bring your arms out beside you into a T position. Maybe a little bit higher than your shoulders. And then lift your hips, shift them to the right 2 or 3 inches and put them down. And we're going to let our knees and legs come towards the left. And it doesn't matter how far. You can go just a tiny little bit. If your right foot hits the floor and it feels good to stay supported up high with the knees, do it. If you want to descend down towards the ground with the legs, with the knees, do that. And if you want to turn your head to look to the right, you can. So you're just easing that right shoulder, releasing it down towards the mat. And it might rise up a little bit, but you don't force anything, but just imagine the right shoulder releasing down. And one more breath. Now, as you start to head up, be mindful. You might want to shift your hips back before you even get up to the top. Really just be easy about it. Uncross your legs once you get there. Kind of straighten your spine out. And then when you're ready, bring in that left thigh on top of the right. Lift your hips, shift them to the left 2 or 3 inches. Arms are a little higher than your shoulders. Let the legs go to the right. Again, your left foot can touch the floor pretty soon. You don't have to go very low. The lower you go, the more it might come into the buttock, up into your low back. Again, if you'd like to turn to look towards the left, you can. One more nice, easy breath here. And then again, be mindful as you start to rise up. You can uncross your legs pretty quickly, bringing yourself back to straighten your spine out. Do a little pelvic tilt or two to get yourself really evened off there. And then bring your knees on into your chest. Bring your hands in. If you want to curl up into a little ball, you can. You can bring your face in towards your knees. If that feels bad for your neck, don't do it. Just let it feel like a release. And then release to come on back down. Send the feet on up. A little happy baby. Start to roll around side to side. And now let your body lead you into anything you feel like you want to do right now. Anything at all before Shavasana. And if you're like, I don't want to do anything except Shavasana, that is fine too. So if a little movement, if you want to do a plow pose, if you want to do a shoulder stand, if you need to do another hip release or twist of any kind, really take your time. I'm just going to start to get the light so that it'll be easy to get us ready. So those of you at home, same thing. Hope you have everything, thank you, Tom. Hope you have everything ready there for coming into Shavasana. Blankets. And if anybody here needs a bolster or a blanket, I can bring them. Remember, bolsters are disinfected. The blankets I take home and wash. So wave at me if you need anything at all. I can bring it to you. And then just start to be easy as you feel your arms and legs finding a comfortable place to release to.
You might even let your head turn a little side to side if that helps find release for your neck. And start to just feel everything soften, like you're just almost melting down into the ground. Starting to watch the wave of your breaths in and out, in and out. And when the breath changes a little bit, that's okay. It's going to do that. Just let yourself be okay with allowing the breath to come in and go out whatever length it needs. And give yourself these few minutes, allowing your body to benefit in whatever way it needs from everything we just did. Letting yourself completely and fully relax. Bring yourself back to feeling the ground underneath you, supporting you again. Letting your breaths gradually come in and go out more fully, more deeply. And see if you can imagine sending the breath all through your body. Like if you imagine your exhale going all the way out through your arms and legs to the tips of your fingers and your toes, and everything starts to want to move, wiggling fingers and toes, hands and feet. And you can always move through your wrists, your ankles, if that feels good. And stretch. You can bring your knees up, bend. Just let your body do what feels very natural. You know you're welcome. Take your time. You're welcome to stay on your back. You're welcome to roll to either your right or your left side if you're easy in a fetal position there and feel very comfortable. Maybe using your arm as a pillow. You can rest there a little bit just to give your body and your brain a little time to adjust. And when you're ready to rise up, just be really easy. Float your way up. Feel as comfortable as you can in the way you're sitting, whatever you need to do that, and let your eyes stay closed if you can and feel that sense of the head coming to float back there up on top. So it almost feels weightless. It's very easy to reach up through the top of your head, feel all that space in your spine. Released in your shoulders and your hips. And then just come back to feeling your breath coming in and going out through your nose. And on your next exhale, allow your hands to gently come to meet there in front of your chest, in front of your heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste. Happy Tuesday. And happy September, new month.